Healthcare in the United States is sometimes really difficult to navigate, right? Accessing care with TimelyCare is very simple. You download an app, SSO directly in, and you've got, all of the options that the institution has identified or needs for their students just readily available to you.
How you got and decided that you should enter this health industry for colleges and students and faculty.
We identified that students on the medical side, many times students couldn't get a same-day visit in a clinic on campus. On the mental health side, sometimes it's 4 to 6 weeks before they can actually get in to see a mental health provider.
Were there blockers or obstacles in obtaining the college's trust in the service that you guys are offering?
Number one, are we out to take their jobs, right? And the answer is no. The second issue was, is it clinically effective way to deliver care? The answer is a resounding yes. So we've got all kinds of outcomes now that we've been measuring for years to show how effective the care is that we deliver.
Hey everybody, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Andres Figueira, and I'm going to be your host for the day. This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. All you need to do is visit globaltalent.co and click Start Hiring. Once that's done, just mention the podcast discount to the person that reaches out when we get in touch. And that way we can make sure we have you all set. And with me here today, I am speaking with Luke Hejl, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder at TimelyCare, a company that has colleges and universities trust them to provide complete clinical care, advanced technology, and expert guidance to support students, faculty, and staff. So, Luke, it's a pleasure to have you here on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Andres. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me to the show today, and look forward to having a good conversation about what we're doing. Again, my name's Luke Hejl. I'm co-founder and CEO at TimelyCare. My background is building mission-driven companies. This is my third startup to lead. And so having a lot of fun doing that, making sure that we're serving the institutions and students really well, but also really being focused on that mission and at the end of the day, changing the world. So again, thanks for having me.
That is such a beautiful and noble cause, Luke. It really is a pleasure to have you here on the show with us. And I must say that I started to investigate what TimelyCare does, and I feel it's pretty straightforward. But would you be able to tell us the story of how you got and decided that you should enter this health industry for colleges and students and faculty? Since I know it's in my perspective, it's a pretty niche place to enter.
Yeah. So we started the company in 2017. The problem that we set out to solve, what we set out to do was we identified that students, many times it's difficult for them to access care quickly, both medical and mental health care. So we set out to fix that, right? And so when you're thinking about on the medical side, many times students couldn't get a same-day visit in a clinic on campus. On the mental health side, sometimes it's 4 to 6 weeks before they can actually get in to see a mental health provider. That's
Wow.
a pretty critical issue, right, to solve. And so, unfortunately, there's still some campuses that don't have a virtual care solution like TimelyCare, or other solutions to get that student in quickly. So, that's what we're doing. That time to care is really important. That connection to the right provider is really important. So that's the problem that we set out to solve, and we're still doing that every day. And we, at this point, we have scaled to about 500 campuses all across the nation. We're serving more than 3 million students that have access to no-cost care 24/7. And so the impacts that we're able to achieve is pretty significant in delivering great care to those students.
Wow, that is amazing. That is a lot of campuses that you guys are helping out. And I did not know that metric in terms of if a student needs mental assistance for mental health, that it takes 4 to 6 weeks. For a mental health issue, 4 to 6 weeks can mean a lot. It's it's a really long time. And for somebody to be having and spending spending their time in such a negative place, it really must get intense. So really admirable the way that you're being able to provide all this care to these students and faculty. And Luke, I'm curious to know, Now that you guys have gotten so big at the beginning, um, were there blockers or obstacles in obtaining the college's trust in the service that you guys are offering? Was there a period of convincing, of educating, of having them learn that you're a reliable resource?
Yeah, for sure. So, actually, one of the first things that we discovered when we were talking to campuses across the nation is that their medical and their mental health teams, they were curious about, learning what we were doing, but they were a little bit worried about two things. Number one, are we out to take their jobs, right? And the answer is no. We build a partnership with them, and once we've established the relationship, they very quickly see the benefit of working with TimelyCare, in the way that we kind of figure out, how to direct some students to the virtual care solution, and some students who either A, feel more comfortable in an in-person setting, or B, it's more appropriate care just based on what they need to talk about. And then the second issue was, they were questioning, like, is it a clinically effective way to deliver care? And while it's a great question to ask, and was a great question to ask, the answer is a resounding yes. And we've got all kinds of outcomes now that we've been measuring for years to show how effective the care is that we deliver. And that's one of the things that really sets us apart.
And in terms of the colleges that you guys help out and that you provide the service to, is this more of public colleges or more private colleges? Just wondering, since I remember when I studied in the States, I'm from Venezuela originally, but I studied in the University of South Florida, and healthcare was a bit more expensive for me for being out of state and out of the country. So just wondering from that perspective how it works.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, one of the things you mentioned was being an international student. That is something that that many of the institutions that we serve, they're looking for a solution or solutions to help their international students. And we certainly kind of fit the mold there well, especially since healthcare in the United States is sometimes really difficult to navigate, right? Accessing care with TimelyCare is very simple. You download an app, you SSO directly in, and you've got all of the options that the institution has identified or needs for their students just readily available to you. But to answer your question about kind of what types of schools we serve, all types is the real answer. If you look at the distribution of our the logo count that we have, or the revenue, both of these are rather similar. About 45% of all of our campuses are private, and the other 55% is pretty evenly split between community colleges and publics. So we work with, Duke, Johns Hopkins, Notre Dame, Georgetown, Harvard, like all these great schools, Abilene Christian, we've got Pepperdine, but then we also work with over 25% of all of the community colleges in the United States. So it's a big population for us. But then also big systems like the University of Texas. We deliver care to every single student at every single one of the University of Texas systems. And there's a number of other systems that we support as well. So we're all over the country delivering care 24/7 to, again, well over 3 million students. It's been a wild ride to continue to build this. But again, the thing that is so fun about leading this company is making sure that the way that we scale is focused on the quality of care that we deliver, making sure that we're always looking to measure that quality and show outcomes that are meaningful for that student, outcomes that are meaningful to the institution, and of course on our end, outcomes that are meaningful to the people in my business, which are so important to me as well.
I love, I heard the solution that you guys are bringing with this service, and it just resonated with me because I'm like, if this had been in the States when I was in college, it would have made everything so much easier because honestly, international students have it a little bit harder just because we're not from there, and that is totally understandable.
When did you study in the U.S.?
I studied in the States back in 2013.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It was a while back. I hadn't thought of those times. Now I'm feeling old.
Well, we were that first to launch in the space in 2017, so that was like 4 or 5 years before that. Yeah, so it just didn't exist.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And look, I was wondering also, after hearing how many colleges and universities you guys serve, it's amazing. But was there a moment after you conceived the idea for Timely Care, after you started implementing and executing what you were visualizing, was there like a turning point or something that actually moved the needle to get a lot of more colleges to hop on board? Or was it just like a more organic word of mouth type of marketing that just ended up in you guys having all the roster of colleges you have nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes, there was. If you think about kind of the story arc of our growth, again, we started in 2017. We started the company with seed funding of $1 million, right? And so we grew. We were adding logos at a somewhat consistent base, and then by, let's see, 2019, it was time to raise our Series A, right? One of the most important things, the CEO's really number one job is to make sure you don't run out of capital, right? And I knew that I was going to have to raise, a Series A, because we were burned through our $1 million as we were growing this thing, and man, I cut it close. And so that's one of my key pieces of advice for entrepreneurs is to start raising capital way before you think you need it, right? Because that's your number one job, is to make sure you don't run out of money. Anyway, so in 2019, we raised our Series A. Argenta partners here in Dallas. They've been a fantastic partner. We raised $4.2 million with them in our Series A. And with that, we were scaling our technology, and we were also scaling our go-to-market team, right? So we're doing that in August of 2019. So we do that. We're working on our tech, and then we're also really building out a go-to-market team. So every campus across the nation, we're reaching out to them, helping them kind of understand the value of what we can deliver for them, telling them stories about the campuses that we're delivering care to. And then all of a sudden, in March of 2020, we all know what happened, right? COVID. And so we went from, we're knocking on doors, telling the value of the care that we're delivering to students, to now all of a sudden, campuses are shutting down overnight. They're reaching out to us and saying, how quickly can you launch a program? And I'll never forget, I was skiing on one mountain, and one of my co-founders was in another mountain in Colorado, and we're talking to each other like on ski lifts, like with our family, trying to figure out, how do we solve this problem? These campuses are reaching out to us. We've got to do something quick. And so we came up with what we called Campus Health. And Campus Health was a solution where we quickly adjusted our technology so that we could launch a program within 48 hours. So they came to us and said, hey, we want to launch a program. We did it very quickly, not a long-term commitment, because they were just scrambling, trying to figure out how to take care of their students. So that had a big impact on our ability. I mean, we established relationships with quite a few like very well-regarded institutions such as Duke and Johns Hopkins, and I think Georgetown, and that a lot, right?
Okay.
And so the goal was to convert those short-term customers to long-term. And we had a very specific goal. I think it was 70% or more conversion, and we overachieved on that front. And so most of those customers have been customers ever since. COVID had a big impact on us, I would say. And I think most of the CEOs or people who study virtual care would say that COVID accelerated adoption of virtual care by probably 5 or 6 years. So we might be where we were in, March of 2020 right now in this moment, because that was 5 years ago, if COVID hadn't happened.
No, I can totally see how COVID actually helped you guys launch even further, and reach for the moon and the stars, because you provided the exact solution that everybody needed without them knowing they would need it. So it's great that you already had everything set up by the time that COVID actually hit. And with a product and a service that was really needed. It's not like it was something just that people would like to have, but it's something that is really necessary, and to make sure your students and your faculty are safe. So wow, kudos to you, Luke, because it really seems like a hell of a journey, and to still be here and making sure everything's working properly is amazing, man. And Okay, and that was what helped you scale and become even bigger and reach to where you are now. But would you be able to also provide some insights into the toughest scaling challenge that you suffered during the journey at the beginning of Timely Care?
Yeah, so with scale comes all kinds of challenges. And at each different level of scale, there's different challenges, right? I mentioned one of the things early on was like making sure I raised the next round of capital soon enough, right? Um, One of the things I already mentioned as well was, the market asking, is this care clinically effective? And now we've got all the proof in the absolute care that we are delivering that it is clinically effective to the students, and even more so many times in in-person care options that they have. One of the current challenges that we're having, I would say, is in higher education, with everything going on in the world. There's an enrollment cliff. There's funding challenges within higher education that are happening right now. Our government just shut down for 43 days, right? That creates challenges when you're serving, institutions who rely on some of that federal and state funding. But the great way to make sure that you can overcome all of those things is a great team, right? That is resilient, that can handle all of the challenges as they come at you. So I would say my greatest superpower is surrounding myself by great people. And those great people have allowed me to lead and us as an organization to lead through all of these challenges, right? So even though there are funding challenges right now within higher education, and in K-12, which is an area that we are actively, about to launch our first programs in K-12 as well. The strong customer relationship that we have, making sure that we understand how they see value, where they see value, where the dollars are going to come from renewal, the value of what the care is going to deliver to them. If they're a new customer, for instance, we know that on average, TimelyCare partner schools that partner with us have retention rates 1.3% points higher than if they don't. So when you think about retention in higher education, think about it's kind of the holy grail metric for a president or CFO in higher ed, right? If it costs $50,000 to go to for tuition, right? It's very easy to do that math on 1.3% of their entire book of $50,000 a year students. That's a pretty significant lift, right? And so we've got the data to support that, like, we're really able to do that, and we're showing like positive financial gain for the institutions that we serve, in addition to all of the clinical outcomes that we're achieving as well.
Now, I understand that, and I love the response you gave me, Luke, because it also created the segue to my next question that I had, which is, and I was thinking about, by helping out so many universities and colleges, like, how big is your team? How big is TimelyCare, and how many people do you have backing you up with with this whole project and this business?
Yeah, so we've got about 250 full-time employees actively working every day to fulfill our mission to improve the health and well-being of campus communities all across the U.S. And then we also on the care side as well, we have a mix of both W-2 and 1099 providers. The delivering care aspect of what we do is by far one of the most challenging, but also rewarding and operationally needs a lot of focus, right? And I would put our care team and the way that we built it up against like any other care team. And I've talked to a lot of CEOs about this topic, not only in the quality of care that we deliver, but and the outcomes that we're achieving, but just how it's managed financially to ensure that we're delivering great care to students, we're matching the students to the right provider, but also like the quality of experience for the provider as well. So we also have about 1,000 providers that are part of the ecosystem as well. Again, split between W-2 and 1099 to make sure that that we can handle all the coverage that we have 24/7 for the 3 million plus students that have access.
And in terms of the team, before I also ask about the providers that I'm curious about, in terms of the team, is TimelyCare a remote first company, or do you guys have like a certain headquarters somewhere or in different places to make sure you can cover the different time zones that you must have?
Yeah, great question. So we do have headquarters. I'm standing in it right now here in Fort Worth, Texas. Um, so I come into the office every day. There's a handful of us that do. But when COVID happened, it presented an opportunity the opportunity was always there, but I guess we embraced the opportunity to get the highest and best talent for every single new role that we hired. And that, of course, led us to looking nationwide, right? And so we've got people all across the nation, in every time zone, just fulfilling our mission as well. So we're all over, and we work to actively get the team together multiple times a year. We've got our holiday party coming up, and I guess 2 or 3 weeks. I'm really excited about it. It's like the energy that comes from like getting the whole team together. It's like there's nothing that can replace that. And it's not just how I feel. Of course, it's the whole team just like soaks in all of that energy of that time and space being together. We spend a lot of time on Zoom together, like you and I are right now. But that in-person time just can't be replaced.
Now, and Luke, in terms of the providers, was it something that also happened like with the universities? You had to reach out to different providers at the beginning to get them to trust you and want to work with you. And then I imagine that when COVID hit, you had providers asking to be on TimelyCare. Would that have been of how the story went?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those things are true. Finding providers to work with us is not challenging. Like when you present an opportunity to a provider to work with and help mold and shape the life of a college student, a young adult, right? Like that's something that's very appealing to a provider, whether you're talking on the medical or mental health or psychiatry or health coaching or success coaching, all the things that we do, right? So that's not the challenging part. The challenging part is the operationally making sure that we have resources available in all 50 states for all different types of students. So, for instance, like when we won the UT system, right, we had to look at, okay, where are all these schools situated? What are the demographics of that population, right? So ethnicities, how many Christian students, how many Jewish students, how many LGBTQ students, like all of those things are really important to make sure that like when they show up to look for a provider, that they can find a provider that's a good match for them, that will understand who they are, because we all know that match really helps deliver outcomes as well. So when when we're looking at a big, system like that, or even just, one school in a state, all of those metrics are important. And then we have, 8 years of data science now, to look at. We've got this great data science team that can look at, okay, what is this institution? What are other lookalike institutions, with the same like demographics, even geographics, and what might utilization look like? And based on that, what does that provider team need to look like? And so then we actively work to make sure that we have the right provider set available on day one for those students. So there's a lot to it, but our care team is like unbelievable, paired with our data science team to be able to make sure that we have just the right providers available to their students.
I love how you have all the bases covered and have thought of all those little tweaks and perks for the student or the patient to be attended properly, because it is something that if anybody that isn't in the industry would take up TimelyCare right now, I think it's something that not everybody would think about. So that is really reassuring, knowing that people are getting the care they deserve with the people that understand them the most. And also, Luke, I'm also curious about the fact that I know you have your providers and they're completely human, and you have the colleges and the students. And how is TimelyCare leveraging AI? Seeing that it's the trending topic nowadays, are you guys being able to utilize AI to your advantage in any curious or peculiar way?
Yeah, of course. We're like the rest of the world. There's kind of two categories when you're leading a software company, or really any company, but definitely software. One is, how are we using AI in our product, right, to deliver better, more efficient care to the populations that we serve. And the other is operationally, right? Like, how are we making sure that we are leveraging AI in every day? how we work, right? And so both of those categories, we're very strong at TimelyCare. I'll tell you the story. Like JMI is our Series B investor. They've been an awesome investor. That's another piece of advice that I have for entrepreneurs. It's like choose your investors wisely, right? So make sure that you understand who they are, what their expectations are, even like who's going to be on your board. Like you've got to be able to jive with them and kind of understand their expectations. Anyways, one of the founders of JMI sent a video to all the CEOs. This was in mid 23. And he said, if you guys aren't investing heavily in AI right now in your product and operationally, you better get after it. And at the time, I don't think ChatGPT wasn't even really a thing yet. So we hadn't all like so much has happened in the past few years, right? But it got us thinking, right? It got me thinking, certainly. And so I go to my engineering team and say, hey, this is what, Harry said, like we got to get on this, right? And so we've been actively on this journey for years at this point. And so we've done a number of things, right? Like we have a peer community. And in this peer community, a student can talk to any other student, 3 million plus students all across the world about any kind of topic, right? And there's categorized by, going home for the holidays and friction with the family to, I'm coming out to my parents for the first time or whatever it may be. All of those things, there needs to be a space for those conversations. But also in those conversations, sometimes it can go in a direction where a conversation needs to be flagged and a human needs to be, in the loop to intervene. And so that's one way that we're using AI in our product. We're also using it on the back end to make sure that we're helping connect students to the right provider. And there's so much more on that front to come. And as you can imagine, in 2025, the roadmap on that front, which I can't talk about our roadmap too much, but like there's a lot, right? Like we are an innovative company. We have one of the things that makes TimelyCare great is the relationships that we make with our customers. And we're always trying to understand what problems are they trying to solve. We're trying to look around the corner as well and make sure that we can, come to the table and help solve that. A couple examples of that are we were asked a number of years ago, man, we really having a hard time finding psychiatrists to deliver care to students, right? So we said, okay, we can step up to the plate on that one. And so we started, delivering psychiatry to campuses all across the nation. It's been solving a big problem. Another more recent one is success coaching. So students who, may be struggling with career readiness or academic preparedness or financial wellness as they are, like going out into the world. That's something where institutions are working so hard to enable the students and to serve the students in a way that set them up for success, that now having a virtual option working hand in hand with the school, we're doing that too. So, but back to the question, there's a lot that we're doing from an AI perspective, both operationally and in our product.
Oh my good, that is just so exciting. I love hearing of the new like implementations and things you guys are thinking about because it just makes me feel like I'm in the future. But Luke, and I was also curious about the fact that are you guys thinking, or do you have in your plans or in your ambition, taking TimelyCare to a more international market or catering or trying to enter different countries? Is that something that has crossed through your mind, or are you comfortable and want to stay within the States due to regulations and how you understand universities work there?
Yeah, that's certainly a question that is asked on a regular basis. And there are some things that we can do, a very short list of things that we can do internationally. And again, the answer to that question is based on the needs of our existing customers. But we are at a level of scale at this point that we can start thinking about those things, right? There is a whole lot of complexity that, as you mentioned, on the regulatory side of things, making sure that you deliver you have a licensed provider in the state where that person is at that time, right? So to be able to do that in multiple countries, that's a pretty big operation to do that. But again, we're at the scale where it's time to start considering doing that. So I can't tell you exactly what the future will look like, but it's definitely something on the list for consideration.
Luke, you have mentioned of all the different outcomes that you have been achieving, and would you be able to provide a bit more insight into regards to what those outcomes are and what that has allowed you to do?
Yeah, actually, this is one of my favorite questions to answer because we put a lot of thought and effort into this. Being able to show the care that we're delivering is actually impacting the students and the campuses that we serve is really important. So there's kind of three categories to think about. Uh, I'll share, a little bit in each one. So number one, clinically, we have a peer-reviewed study that we actually just published on this front. So clinically, after 3 or more sessions, like a student meeting with a provider for 3 or more sessions, 76% of students receiving TimelyCare therapy achieved reliable improvement or remission in symptoms of anxiety or depression. And so this is a measurement done by GAD-7 or PHQ-9, and anyone in the mental health space understands what that means. The reason why this is so powerful is because typically it takes 10 to 12 visits to do that. So we're doing this virtually in 3. So that's huge. So that's clinically. Academically, we ask our students, several questions, at the end of each consult, and nearly 8 out of 10 or 77% of them say that they're more likely to remain in classes, improve their grades, and graduate after using TimelyCare services. So that's a great indicator of how it's actually impacting each individual student. And the third one kind of relates to that. It's financial. I mentioned it earlier in the podcast as well, but on average, TimelyCare partner schools see their retention rates lift 1.3% points higher than if they had not been working with TimelyCare. So we're looking at a huge set of data to be able to get those outcomes that we just talked about. But those are things that absolutely differentiate us in the market, and we're always excited to share them with our partner schools anytime that they ask.
Wow, that is so cool, Luke. And a quick question regarding that you just mentioned. In terms of then the clinical outcome that you guys are being able to get somebody to feel a lot better in 2 to 3 appointments that we have. Is this due then to the fact that TimelyCare is able to offer such a quick and fast quick and fast appointments and scheduling, to the difference of what you mentioned at the beginning, that it was that students took about 4 to 6 weeks to get attended?
I think that's a great insight, Andres. I think the answer is manyfold, right? It's that time to care that you mentioned. It's the quality of care that they're getting. It's a clinical effective approach, meaning the way that we train our providers. You got to remember that many times when a student's meeting with a provider, it's the first time that they're doing that without mom or dad in the room. So you've got to be very intentional about what that looks like, what that care note, back to that student looks like after the visit, and all those kind of things. It's the technology that we build that enables that student to have a great experience. They can choose whether they want to be on video or want it to be a phone call or even chat with their provider. Those things are incredibly important to make sure that we're investing in all of those areas to deliver these outcomes. And there's so many more, right? I'm just listing a handful of things that are enabling us to deliver outcomes like that. But yeah, it's making sure that we're looking at the whole universe of how we can continue to deliver the best care possible. That's our job, and we take it very seriously every day. And again, the whole TimelyCare team is so intently focused on our mission to improve the health and well-being of campus communities, and that's what makes, again, working here so great and so fun, and leading this company with this awesome group of people. It's just something I look forward to every day when I wake up.
Yeah. That is amazing. Now, and I can also see how being behind such a noble cause and something that really is so important to everybody can make you just want to get out of bed every day to keep making this product and this service even better, because it really is making the world a better place. And that is just amazing. And Luke, before we finalize the podcast, I did want to give you the chance to let any college or university that might be hearing us through this episode know how they can get in contact with TimelyCare, how they could even learn of the services you offer, and see if they even qualify to be one of your clients, because I believe there must be a screening to know if they are a fit or not. But just wondering if you could let the audience know about that process.
Yeah, sure. TimelyCare.com is the place to go to check us out. You'll quickly be able to have a conversation with someone right there on our website, or navigate to setting up for a conversation. But we work with, again, all different types of institutions all across the United States, both in higher education and now in K-12 as well. So if there's a need or interest for a conversation, that's the place to go. And we would love to have that conversation and make sure that we build the right program for your campus.
If there's any college that is hearing us right now and you're interested, just know that you can go to the TimelyCare website and understand and see if you are fit for this service. But Luke, thank you so much for your time, man. Really appreciate you being able to share your story and let us know all the information about TimelyCare. It is an amazing company.
Well, thank you, Andres. I appreciate the time as well. It's been a fun conversation, and yeah, thanks for the opportunity to have the conversation today.
And to everybody that is listening to us, we also appreciate you being here with us. And we hope that you return to keep tuning in to the different industries that we talk to and all the different personalities that we keep learning about. So with that said, thank you so much. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day.